my dear listeners, and welcome back to another story that warms the heart and lifts the soul. Today's story is called Jesus Calms the Storm. It was a long, beautiful day by the Sea of Galilee. The sun was shining bright, and the crowds were gathered to listen to Jesus teach. People came from every village, mothers with their children, fishermen with tired faces, farmers with dust on their clothes. Everyone wanted to hear Jesus speak. He talked about love, forgiveness, and faith, about how even a tiny mustard seed of faith could move mountains. As the sun began to set and the sky turned orange and pink, Jesus looked at his friends, the disciples, and said gently, "Let's go to the other side of the lake." They all nodded. They trusted him. They climbed into their small wooden boat and began to sail across the quiet waters. The air was calm. The waves gently rocked the boat. The disciples smiled, maybe even started to hum songs as the cool evening breeze brushed their faces. They didn't know that soon everything was about to change. As they sailed farther, dark clouds began to roll in. The sky lost its warm colors. Now it turned gray, then black. The wind began to whistle. The waves started to grow bigger and bigger. The disciples looked around nervously. The boat began to rock harder. The wind howled like 1,000 voices. Suddenly, crash! A wave slammed against the side of the boat, splashing cold water everywhere. The disciples shouted to each other. "The waves are too strong!" cried Peter. "We're sinking!" yelled Andrew. But where was Jesus? They turned around, and there he was, sleeping. Yes, sleeping, peacefully on a cushion in the middle of the storm. The disciples couldn't believe it. "Teacher," they shouted, "don't you care that we're about to drown?" The boat tilted side to side. Water rushed in. The disciples were terrified. But then Jesus opened his eyes, calmly, quietly. He stood up. The rain was pouring, the wind was roaring, but his voice was firm and full of authority. "Peace, be still." And in an instant, the wind stopped. The waves went flat. The storm disappeared. Just like that, total silence. The disciples' hearts were still pounding. They looked at each other and at Jesus. He looked at them kindly and asked, "Why are you so afraid? Don't you have faith yet?" And they whispered among themselves, "Who is this man? Even the wind and the waves obey him." As they continued their journey across the now calm sea, the disciples sat quietly, amazed. They realized something deep, something that would stay with them forever. Even when they were afraid, Jesus was there. Even when the storm was raging, Jesus was in control. He didn't promise that there would be no storms, but he promised that they would never face them alone. And that's the lesson for us today. Sometimes, life feels like that stormy sea. We feel scared, tired, or unsure about what's ahead. But Jesus is still with us. He's in the boat, right beside us. When you face a hard time, school stress, family problems, or loneliness, remember his words, "Peace, be still." You can take a deep breath, close your eyes, and whisper, "Jesus, I trust you." And in your heart, the storm begins to calm. That night, when the disciples reached the other side, they saw the stars shining bright again. The storm had passed, but their faith had grown stronger. And so, my dear friends, as you go about your day, remember this. No matter how big the waves, how dark the skies, you're never alone in your boat. Jesus is there, always calm, always strong. And when you trust him, every storm becomes a story of peace.